Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of SuperFantaFi. This being a show where I talk about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Evil, Season 4, Episode 4. Great episode. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. I should also start this by saying, I always forget. Somehow it always slips on my mind how kooky this show can be, that the show can be funny at times. It kind of has, this very, campy element to its horror sometimes. Sometimes it can be spooky, eerie, and scary, but there's also times, we get some of the demon stuff this episode, especially, the Sister Andrea stuff. I feel like that tends to be, but even the George stuff could be, from Season 1, could be, kooky from time to time. So either way, this episode mainly revolves around a guy named Stuart who's losing his words, and obviously there's a conversation of, well, maybe it's something neurological. There have been tests run, but nothing could be found. But then all of a sudden, after Kristen tested him and he was around the others, it started spreading like a disease where it's everyone's little by little started forgetting their words. Kristen tried to test herself. David was literally taking a confession. He was losing his words. Ben's kind of been going through it on all fronts. He also has the gin in his head being like, yo, you want to sleep with Kristen? Kristen obviously wants you. Look at her, she's hot. And it's I love that because it's right, they've both been tempted by two different, supernatural things. There's one thing tempting David with Kristen, then it's another. It's almost like this complicated thing of, I just thought that was so interesting. They wait till the final season to kind of do something like that. Because David's been tempted with the whole, Kristen and David always have that temptation for both of them. But now throwing Ben into the mix, and it's just yeah, obviously she wants you. So he ends up hooking up with Renee later on, which I didn't remember till they were I vaguely remember without, she was oh yeah, you left me in a field covered in goat's blood, haven't talked to each other since then. It's Ben's had the most interesting interaction with women over the course of the show. Just the circumstances he finds himself in, the chick who, it's unclear whether she actually does have a twin or whether that's actually all in her head. That one, so the person he met through that Ghost Adventures show initially, he just had some interesting run-in with women. So that's always a fascinating thing. But he's kind of going through it, trying to figure that all out. And it is interesting that the person who's oh yeah, I'm part, I channel Jesus. And it's yeah, you're going through what you're going through. You're basically seeing a jinn. And he's no, not psychologically. She's no, I get it. That is cool. But it's because Ben's I didn't call you. She's yeah, you called me and said you didn't really have the word. So let's fuck. And so they did. And Ben's that wasn't me. And she's oh, so you think that jinn is an it? I mean, he keeps saying it's an it. He thought it was that part of his brain that's just kind of doing its thing, the unshackled version of yourself, the id, where you're just kind of you just go on instinct. You're just doing whatever you want to. You're not kind of beholden to social constraints and yada yada yada, or any part of your brain that'd be probably shouldn't do that. It's just pure instinct is what the id is. Maybe that's my misunderstanding. I've always kind of defined the id as that, and that's what he was kind of thinking this jinn represented, because he thought it was yeah, just a monologue in my head, but maybe it's something more. And then he explained everything to Renee. It's well, you're entering unknown territories. There might have not been any radiation, but she's yeah, but whatever the hell that accelerator was, I wouldn't want that in my brain. And she starts thinking maybe you kind of split your brain where it's in regards of it kind of turns into a multiverse thing where she's right, there's the version of you that's here with me right now, and then there's another version of you that was alone right now. So it's kind of saying maybe that's what the id, or rather the jinn, kind of represents. It's kind of a Ben from a different universe, because he is saying I am you, and stuff, and Ben was kind of feeling it was his voice because this jinn is talking like him. So that ends up being an interesting conversation. It's an interesting perspective to kind of put on this. Once again, we are leaning into the science fiction side of things this season, or they're science things, but leaning into the science fiction of it all. So Ben's dealing with all of that. But kind of, I say, going back to the fact is no one can really find their words. This all ties into Sister Andrea, who sees two demons. One, because she found Father Ignatius's jackets, and there's a giant hole in it. I was it's some. At first, I was thinking they were pants. I was is something eating the crotches out of these pants? But it's no, they're shirts, and there's a big giant hole in it. And she's trying to see who has it, and she finds out it's Father Ignatius. Really quickly, I love that father who was yes, the sisterhood, you need to kind of start doing more cleaning and cooking to give the priesthood more time to basically save souls and yada yada yada. And Andrea's just kind of okay, whatever you want, narrative you want to spin this as. But like once again, this show is just so like weird because like Ignatius has like this giant gaping hole in his side, and there's a demon inside. You're like, what the fuck? And then there's like the one that Sister Andrea is chasing after with like some garden shears, and I feel so bad because like she never lets it get to her too much. Ever since her introduction, she's always been able to see the demons, and she looks a little batshit crazy. You could tell like it weaves back and forth for David whether or not to really believe in her, but she's always been there for him and supported her. Feels like she 100% is in on like his visions and stuff, even though to everyone else it would sound crazy. So he's a little believing in the fact that she can see demons that he can't, but it's also like you've experienced stuff you can't really explain, that you've seen that no one else has seen because you've seen your visions but no one else has. So he's not really in a position to judge, but he does still come off a little judgmental with just the way he gives us. Like I said, she just looks so crazy in the church, just like holding like garden shears, and it's like, what the fuck are you doing, lady? But yeah, we find out, like, I love that she drew out the one that was inside of Ignatius, as we find out his name is Tommy. And I love that whole thing of just him like, ow, you're hurting me, you're hurting my tail. And she's like whacking him with the spoon. I'm like, how absurd and silly this show can be in like the best way possible. I was like, oh, that's so fucking hilarious. Like I said, it's campy in some of it. I love that. I mean, that's the many facets of horror. There can be spooky, there can be scary, there can be the comedic type, there can be the campy type, which leans in. I mean, I feel like there is a distinction between comedy horror and campy horror. I feel like they can be mutually exclusive, but they're not always mutually exclusive. But either way, I'm not the horror buff person, so that's what I'm speaking on. I can't really fully speak on anything because I'm not a horror guy. I dabble in horror every once in a while, but it's not my main genre of entertainment. But either way, I love how that she's like trapping him in the closet, even takes the plunger to him and stuff. She's like, oh, you're the demon of grief. And he's like, well, I prefer Tommy. But the thing is, Tommy is there for those who are weighed, because she had saw that Father Ignatius was weighed down. Like the wife, I think her name is Jennifer, of Stuart, the guy who came in for not being able to find his words. And like I said, it was spreading to other people, even his wife. But she and Ignatius knew Matt. Well, she knew Matt, and she talked about how much, she misses him. And, it was so interesting, the parallels, because she's like, because ever since losing her father, she's like, I get up at like 5 o'clock in the morning. And Ignatius is like, oh yeah, like I find myself sleeping during the day. It's kind of weighed down by grief and stuff. And that's what's been bothering him. And it turns out this demon of grief is there to help him. He even talks about Sister Andrea's circumstances. It's like Paul. It's like, oh, you kind of references like, oh, you didn't even know Paul was dead. Yeah, the only time he was happy in his life was the 6 months you were together. But it's like, right, she chose God over him. It's like he would have given up anything for you. You couldn't even give up God. I mean, I'm curious, is what he was saying truthful or not when he was saying the whole element of everyone. He was also talking about, initially he was like, oh, how frivolous some stuff is, futility. Because he was like, every kid you've ever taught is no longer Catholic now. They just kind of see your life as kind of disgusting. Because even he's like, oh my God, this is where you live. This is your room. Ugh, sad. But I love how she was able to deal with that. Like, rather than trying to draw out the demon later on because the other demon let him out, she was able to just talk to Ignatius because he's been just bottling up. He hadn't really taken the opportunity to talk about Matt. And it was actually this really beautiful, cathartic moment between them. Because I think for her, like, she didn't really go into her side of things with Paul, but it's just like, let's talk about Matt and the little kind of like funny things he did, like the sock puppet, like back and forth thing that he would do. And it was kind of nice for Ignatius because it's like, it's like, why don't we ever, and I thought it was a really poignant conversation that Andrea was having where it's like, why don't we talk about the dead? And it's like, and even Ignatius is like, it's emotions because of how sad it is. He's like, I'm hurting right now, but I'm also happy. I'm smiling for the first time in a long time. It is that thing that it is harder to talk about those who are gone because it is a reminder that they're gone, but it's also a beautiful reminder of the life that they lived, like the memories you share with that person. That is something to cherish and keep in mind. So you know, that's why some people are like, oh, don't let my funeral be like this sad thing. Let it be a celebration of the life I live. No matter how, we're not always here for a long period of time. Some of us are here longer than others. You know, if we're fortunate enough, we get to grow old and die. And that's obviously not always the case for everyone. But it's like, as long as we are remembered by the people that are left behind and they can tell stories about you and talk about you that way, then it's like, then it was a life that was worth living. It meant something to somebody, you know. And that's all we all want. We want to matter to somebody. Nobody wants to be forgotten. Just want to be like, oh, like, I want people to be able to remember me when I'm going. And that way, like, some form of immortality, you know. Either way, I went on a massive tangent. Ignore me with all of that philosophical hoopla blah, 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 that I was speaking. But nevertheless, she was able to draw out the demon, and then she squished him. But we see later on, Tommy's not dead. I guess, like, he eventually, like, pieced himself back together. So, I mean, he's a demon of grief. I guess as long as there's grief, he's always going to be able to exist. And he just needs another substance to kind of feed on, and another target to kind of draw him near. So, and like, they were going to perform an exorcism to get, like, on Stuart to try and, because it's like, right, he's possessed by the demon of words. That's why everyone's losing their words, because the more they're speaking, this thing, like, is gobbling it up. I love he tried to attack Andrea, and he was like, say words, and she won't. She just like pretends like she locks up her mouth, and then she, like, stabs him a couple of times with a cross from her wall, and he runs away in pain. I'm like, once again, the shenanigans of the show sometimes. But she's there during the exorcism and sees that the demon is, like, super plump and ripe. He's feeding off all the words, especially the more the priest is, like, going on and on. I think it's interesting. His words weren't necessarily being eaten in that moment. But either way, he tries to run away from Sister Andrea, and he's too fat to get through the door. And so she pops his belly. He explodes. And in that moment, Stuart's fixed. But everyone's treating it like it was the exorcism. It's like, maybe the exorcism worked. I don't know. We as the audience know, nah, that was Sister Andrea coming in clutch, like always. So she would never get the credit for what she does. But it's not about credit. It's about doing good work in this fight against good versus evil. So that almost makes you feel like, though, like, that demon's not dead. If the demon of grief can come back, like, these demons must, like, it must be a thing of kind of like supernatural. Well, you could kill demons, but, like, the moment you, like, exorcise them from a human, they just go back to hell. And it's like, oh, I'll be right back, unless you use, like, a demon blade, or, like, Cain's blade, or the cult. Well, is that what it was called? That specialized gun, or like angel blades to kill demons and stuff. Like, it's kind of a thing of like, yeah, they'll always come back unless you, like, perma kill them. And I don't think Andrea did. She just destroyed its physical form for now. But it's like, yeah, return to hell and pop back up at some point in time. But so for now, they dealt with it. So we have all that on one side of the episode. On the other side of the episode, kind of like Kristen was talking about, Leland is in hell because he's struggling, taking care of the baby. It's shitting and vomiting everywhere, and he can't get any sleep. It's like, once again, there is this sick satisfaction you get out of it. Like Kristen was kind of happy about. Everything Kristen said comes to fruition, because it's like, Leland thought, yeah, you don't, just because you're raising an Antichrist, you're still raising a baby. So it's like, you have to deal with all that, which I'm like, once again, I haven't seen enough horror movies and stuff to really cover, to know, like, or the kind of stuff on the, like, Antichrist front. Because, the only thing I've seen with the Antichrist would be, like, supernatural. But, like, by the time you get introduced to the Antichrist, he was, like, just a kid, which I'm like, that storyline never circled back in the rest of the show, did it? Like, let me know. Like, I thought that was like a 1 or 2 episode thing, and I don't think that kid ever popped up again. There's a lot of threads in Supernatural that never fully got resolved. They were just kind of left out there in the wind, and we never got any resolution to them. There's one I'm thinking of, but that'd be a whole tangent and stuff like that. I know there's plenty of people who've done videos about that. You can find plenty of probably articles and videos of people talking about some loose supernatural threads that were never, like, tied up. They're just kind of out there in the wind, yada yada yada. But my point is that, like, that's probably the only thing I've seen that's really done that. But even then, like I said, he was a kid. Wasn't like he had to see, like, the baby situation. You might hear references to it, but I don't think this is one of the first times I've seen, like, the Antichrist situation from, like, isn't that what Rosemary's Baby's about? And even then, like, I know there's, like, a remake that came out a couple years ago with Zoe Saldana, but, like, I think I only saw some of that. I don't even think I saw all of it. Didn't it have that actor who played Mike in, Suits? Wasn't he the dad in that? It's been so long. I distinctly remember Zoe Saldana, but I think he was in that too. I think, like I said, I think he was the husband in that. I've never seen the original Rosemary's Baby. That remake was like my first time, and like I said, I only saw some of it, not even all of it. So, but like I said, I'm going in this massive tangent just to be like, yeah, dealing with the Antichrist as a baby, because he's still a baby, just more demonic stuff of like the exorcism and stuff, and just like the amount of gunk he's spewing out. And Leland's going so crazy that he turns to Cheryl for help, but Cheryl's like, ooh, eating it up. It's like, oh, cool, but you're gonna owe me. And he literally locks the baby in a closet, gets into a tub, puts a whole bunch of blankets and a headphone on top of himself. It's like, Jesus, Leland, you're supposed to be so evil and stuff like that, and your evil was being undone by a baby, which is supposed to be the ultimate evil. Which I love that he was in that like Zoom meeting, and he was talking about like, right, we don't need the money, but does Twitter help our bottom line? Yes. Do we benefit from Elon Musk? I'm like, oh, taking shots against Elon. Interesting. What was it? Oh yeah, because I was watching something else recently. I mean, I guess it's like, you know, you're Elon, so of course like people are gonna make jokes about you, so it's just kind of like, but yeah, this is like the second thing I know that's kind of recently made a joke about it. It's like this, and then there's like The Boys made an Elon joke about him being like half android. When I'm indifferent to Elon. I'm like, I catch some news about Elon stuff, but I've never like paid the biggest attention to Elon, so I'm just kind of indifferent. So not a fan, not a hater. I'm just kind of like, oh yeah, Elon's a dude. He's a rich dude, whatever, yada yada yada, so on and so forth. But yeah, I love everyone on the thing cracking jokes at him. It's like, it's so funny because he was shitting on Cheryl and stuff like that, and once again her corner office and stuff. But now he's the one getting made fun of. It's like, oh, do you need a minute, Daddy? And everyone's laughing. I'm nah. It's like it's like after all the shit Leland pulls, you're kind of like, yeah, this is justified. So it seems that even Cheryl showing up, she's getting what she's getting out of it. She's getting that stuff. I didn't remember that's what the purpose it served was, like to kind of keep her like younger-ish. I didn't realize that was like the purpose of that. At least I didn't remember that being the purpose of like the stuff she's getting from Leland. But either way, even she couldn't really help. But it turns out the soothing aspect to this is Kristen's voice. Also begs a question, where is Leslie? Because it seems like she's not involved with the baby. It's like, yeah, I gave birth, I did my part. So where is Leslie now? Is she just like back at work nonchalant? I guess like Leland's kind of taking all over parental duty. You would have thought you'd want Leslie involved, but maybe after the pregnancy, Leslie's like, I want nothing to do with it. I played my role. I was not meant to. This was all supposed to fall on Leland. He was supposed to solo parent this, but that was kind of a big mistake on his part. But it turns out Kristen's necessary because the sound of her voice suits the baby. So copy some of Kristen's recording, her sessions with Kurt, and now they're playing them to soothe the baby. And he likes the sound of her voice, biological mom and all that. But then like one of the recordings really caught his attention where he was like, it was when Kristen was like, obviously Laura's whole situation with her heart. Once again, it's been so long, so I was like, oh man, I'd actually forgotten about that. They haven't really had to worry. Like, I think season 2 might have been the last time they really ever worried about it at all, but it was like a major thing during season 1 was her heart situation. So, but I think that got resolved in season 1, but I think they were kind of still worried about it in season 2, but she's been good ever since. And Kristen had made this remark about like if something happened to Laura, because Laura wasn't expected to even live to 18, then she was like, I would probably have to have another baby because that's the only way I'd be able to get over it. And in that moment, I was like, is Leland thinking about killing Laura just because it'd be the easiest to kind of disguise her death, just so that Kristen will be in such a devastated state that you would hand over Timothy to her just for the purposes of like trying to like pretend like you're helping her, but then like you're putting the Antichrist in her hand. Like, I was like, or would you really do that? Turns out is exactly what he did. How did he go about it? He got fucking Andy to do it. I was like, that's horrendous. And once again, Leland's done some evil shit. Drugging and trancing a father into killing his youngest and making it look like just a regular like cardiac incident is super fucked for the purposes of trying to get his wife to get the biological mother to look after the Antichrist. It's like, fuck me. That is diabolically evil. So the entire time I was like, there's no way we're going to do this. There's no way we're going to do this. There's no way we're going to do this. I was like, and especially after that little fun, like, you know, spider story that Kristen and the girls and Andy were apart. It was like, damn it, dude. Because even in his trance-like state, he was crying when Leland was telling him to do this. There was a consciousness of enough of him to be like, no, this isn't right. I can't. And the time comes, 3 o'clock in the morning, it's time to do it, and he hesitates. I was like, just empty out the syringe. That's all you got to do. Just empty out the syringe. And he just couldn't bring himself to, like, do that either. So what did he do? He injected himself. I was like, did Andy just fucking kill himself? I was like, no. And nobody woke up. But luckily, he had a cardiac incident. But because in Laura's case, her heart condition is already bad enough, so that would, I mean, she's younger too, so it would have been enough to kill her. Whereas like Andy, it caused him issues, but he's going to be okay. And so when Kristen goes to talk to him, he's like, "Yeah, I have to stay away from you." I'm like, "Good." Because Andy, like, he wants to lock himself up in a psychiatric facility until he's better till he can figure it all out. I was like, well, if you're in a facility, like, Leland won't be able to get to you because they're going to take your phone and stuff from you, so you won't have to worry about me and mind control. Granted, Leland did say, like, oh, this would be the last time, so I guess it's like, once Andy did this, he would no longer be useful, so I didn't know if they were going to kill Andy after this or what. I have no idea what that was going to be. And I'm curious to see what Leland's reaction to that's going to be when it's like, Andy not only didn't do what you needed him to do, he's also further out of your way, but maybe you could still take advantage of this situation and use it. And he's still going to do everything he can to try and get Kristen and the Antichrist, Timothy, together. So we'll see how that shakes out. But like the little tease at the end where like the demon of grief shows up. Now the question then becomes, who is he sticking around, Kristen or Andy? I'm assuming Kristen, but I don't know. We'll see. Might be both of them in actuality because, I mean, but it's sad, but I think this will benefit Andy to be away from all of this. Because because she's saying, like, bro, we'll get you in a 12-step program. He's like, no, this isn't drugs. It's like, it's really not. I cannot wait for her to find out, like, what really has been going on with Andy, if she'll ever find out the truth. Because I'm also curious to find out what Cheryl's going to do when she finds out. It's like, wait, what? I mean, I don't even know if Cheryl would even put that together that Leland set that in motion. She had said a couple episodes, like 2 episodes ago. No, was that last episode? Yeah, it was last episode. The whole conversation of, yeah, but I want to be able to protect my daughter and my granddaughter. Like I said, I brought it up last episode. I was like, I don't think you would be able to kind of do both. It's kind of one or the other, not both. But Cheryl's trying to have it all, right? But sometimes when you try to have it all, you end up walking away with nothing. So we'll see how that all shakes out. If, like I said, I don't even know if she'd be able to put it together to know that Leland did anything about it. But then, like, anything Andy related, she knows has something to do with Leland. So it's like, I don't know if she'd piece it together that he was trying to kill your youngest granddaughter just for the purposes of your grandchild, which is something to think about. It's like, well, the Antichrist is your grandchild, so you would think you would kind of get a little bit more respect, but it's kind of like, yeah, you're not the important person. The important person with, like, the DNA that the Antichrist comes from is Kristen, so she's the more important person. Even though you are the grandmother, that doesn't mean as much. So, a lot of interesting developments in this episode. I'm curious to see where all of this ends up taking us going forward into the next episode. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.